I truly believe that our world would look different if fathers stood into their role, right? And that a lot of the things that we're looking for in our culture that feel like they're falling apart is because we haven't made an emphasis on family. And I think a lot of it's just because dads haven't been really leaning into their role. And things aren't going to change in a week. But if dad showed up, come back in 25 years and tell me what our society looks like, it would look different. My friend, welcome. Your role as a father is truly critical. You are so important. You matter. Our world, your family needs you. 3 nuggets that hit me from my conversation with my friend Gary today are: number 1, how to guard your time for the most important things. Number 2, the power of hugging your kiddos. And 3, how to increase your capacity for your family. Welcome to Fatherhood Field Notes podcast, where I interview truly incredible fathers, gaining wisdom from their stories for you and I to grow in our own craft. I'm your guide, Ned Shout, father to 5 kiddos, currently ages 11 to 18, and husband to my rad wife, Sarah, working on our 21st year of marriage. So yep, I'm in the thick of it, and I am working daily to rebel against the low expectations for fathers and create a world where fathers know who they are as they show up for their families. You and I have an incredible opportunity to impact our world simply through the way we embrace our fatherhood role. This episode is brought to you by the Adventure of Fatherhood, helping men discover their powerful fatherhood role and build their fatherhood skills. The role of the father is to serve, guide, steward, provide, and protect, and of course, find joy and have fun in the messiness of it all. Today's guest is my friend, Gary Cucchi, and we have an incredible conversation around raising children, around loving children, around being there for your kids, and making sure that you are creating space and making time to create the most important memories. Enjoy meeting my friend, Gary. All right, Gary, welcome to Fatherhood Field Notes. How you feeling?
Good, man. How you doing?
You know what? Anytime I could pause and talk fatherhood, I'm lit up. So how about yourself?
Oh, man, absolutely. Yeah. I'm pumped to be here, man. I love talking about this. This is great.
Love it. All right. So first question is, there looks to be a slew of books behind you. What has been a book that has been so impactful to your life other than the Bible?
Yeah. That's like this.
I don't want the default.
Yeah, that's the Sunday school answer. What you learned today, right? Jesus, right? Yeah. Oh man, that's a tough one. What's been a book that's I honestly I have to laugh, but most of these, this is my wife's books.
There you go. She's the wise one.
Books, oh yeah, she is. I tell
Let's get her on the show then.
Yeah, she's awesome. I mean, she loves to read. She homeschools our kids too, and but for me, reading is always been more for business. Mm-hmm. Honestly, for me, really as a dad and as a father, it's more on business. Books that taught me to be more efficient at work, to work less. I mean, even Skylar Lewis's book, the 2-Day CEO. Yeah. To learn to work less so I can spend more time with my family, because ultimately that's why I do what I do. It's not to go drive a fancier car. It's to be able to do more things with my family. Yeah,
love it. Love it. Well, I know we're going to get into lots of cool stuff you do with your family. How old do you find yourself today, Gary?
I'll be 49 in next week. Actually, a week from tomorrow, I'll be 49.
Love it, dude. Okay, 49, and then what's your youngest kid and your oldest kid?
Yeah. So youngest is 8, oldest is 18. It'll be 19 next month.
Okay, and then how many kiddos do you have?
5 total.
Yeah, smart guy. Love it.
Yeah. Now, it's great.
As you're about to step into your 49th year, right? You're coming to the end of your 40s. Is there anything that you would tell your 39-year-old self? So question A, and you can answer it however you want, but 39-year-old self stepping into the 40s. And then is there anything that you're thinking now about okay, I'm stepping into my 50s are coming soon. Is there anything like on the mind, on the horizon that you're thinking about right now?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'll answer them in order. So one thing I would tell my 10-year younger self was embrace the moments more. Lots of times I'm looking at the next thing, and instead of embracing that moment, but having which I know you're experiencing this now with one going off to college.
Yeah.
And man, what I wouldn't give right now to have Nicholas be 10 years younger again. Like it was hard for me. I mean, we're like you guys, we're a close family.
Yeah.
It was very, very difficult. As much as I know it's part of life, part of growing up, I wasn't prepared for it because I love that time with all my kids.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say embrace those moments I have with them, because again, we're never guaranteed tomorrow.
Right.
And it's way more important that time with them than any stuff that will buy them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been a philosophy of my whole life. The kids don't ever remember the stuff. They remember the time.
Yeah. So now thinking about going into 50s,
Yeah.
What are you thinking about? What's on the horizon?
Well, definitely one thing is, and we talked about this before, is get my butt back in shape. I was in great shape in my 30s, even in my early 40s. I mean, I was running a 5-minute mile until I was 45 years old.
Dang, dude, that's a boss. That's so fast.
Yeah. I really just got lazy. I really just got lazy for some reason. And Rise Up Kings kind of put a little spark underneath me for sure. I went through almost 2 years ago, but I decided, I want to get stronger too. But really, the big spark for me was, I want to be here for my family. So I got to take care of, it's not to put on the bathing suit and go look good, out there. That's just a bonus, right?
Yeah.
It is, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to do everything in my power, and Lord willing, I pray that He gives me many more years. I pray that I get to see great grandkids. But I have a part to play in that. Is that I got to watch more at what I take in and what I'm doing. I got to get my heart healthy. So I started doing more is not only obviously working out, watching what I eat a little bit more, but man, a lot of men are, my age do not go to the doctors. They don't get checked out.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the quick story is I had an employee on July 8th pass away of a heart attack.
Whoa.
54 years old and close, like he'd been with me for 15 years. And one of my other employees is the one who found him.
Oh,
he just got done his morning workout, married for 30 years. All 3 of his kids have worked for us while they went to college. It hit home.
Yeah, that's heavy.
And then a couple weeks ago, one of our other employees, who's same age, same name too, which is wild, he had a massive heart attack, had complete blockage in 3 of his arteries and 75% in one of the other. He was lucky to make it through, and he is doing fine. Praise the Lord.
Wow.
But I told all my guys in my office, every one of them, I was like, listen, every one of you before the end of the year needs to go to a cardiologist. You need to go get checked. You need to go get checked out.
Yeah, we're not having any more of this.
What's in our foods and stuff nowadays?
That's crazy.
We're just seeing a lot more heart disease. I go and get checked out every 6 months. I'm checking those valves, making sure that I'm not building up some blockage. So again, I can at least help prevent something catastrophic the best of my ability. Because I want to be here a long time for my kids. My mom died in a car accident when I was little. I knew what it was like growing up with a loss of a parent.
Yeah,
and it's hard. It's really, really hard. And I would pray that I could do anything I could to prevent that for my kids, especially something that's beyond my control. To put down the chips and things. So that's one thing I'm watching. And again, it's family focused. It's for my wife. It's for the kids. And the byproduct, the bonus is just I feel better and stuff too, right?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. But I do want to bring up something you said, because it was like you kind of, you answered the question, but there was one word, two words you said that's like, dang, who's thinking about this? You said great grandkids. You didn't even say grandkids. You said great grandkids. And I think, guys, like right now, I'd say most of us listening to this are probably like 35 to 55 range. But to be thinking that way, not just how do I show up for my 15-year-old daughter, but one day you and I have the potential to be holding, a great grandkid and maybe even playing with a great grandkid. And what would that be like for you to have positioned yourself mentally, physically, spiritually? And dude, I did it with my spiritual mentor a few years back, but basically said, okay, like if I live to 100 and you got 5 kids too, so yours will be similar. Okay, so here's how old I'll be when my kids are married. Here's how old I'll be when my kids have their kids. And here's how old I'll be when my kids have kids. And it's like, holy cow, by 85, 90, like you and I may have opportunity for massive influence, right? If we position ourselves where we're free financially and we're free mentally, spiritually, we've wrestled through life. Like our ability to have wisdom for those around us is going to be massive. So like, what are we doing to get there? You know what I mean?
That's powerful.
It's so powerful.
It is. I mean, honestly, it's exciting to me, right? It really is to see. I mean, got clients that, I love talking to some of my older clients that have been with us a long time, and they're in those positions, right? Where they've got the great grandkids and some of them have been, they're almost people that I look up to, the way that, they've been married for, 45, 50 years. And I love when they come in, like, they're coming in to meet with me to review or whatever. And I'm learning from them there too, right? I'm going to spend as much time wanting to hear about stuff that they're doing and ideas. And I'm picking their brain of stuff they're doing with their kids and their grandkids and their great grandkids. And I mean, I've got some great ideas of stuff that I want to do when my kids are married and I start having grandkids, from like annual family trips, where we're getting everybody together. And I mean, there's so many cool things. And you know what? It goes back to, I got to take care of myself physically.
Yeah.
Because I saw this the other day and I thought it was kind of funny. It said, I'd rather be the old guy in the gym than the young guy in the assisted living facility.
Yeah. Sheesh. Heck yeah.
And that's I'm all good about being the old guy in the gym. And guess what? There's going to be certain things I'm going to beat those young guys in the gym. So
heck yeah. And just on a little side note, your son's coming home for, something from college. And you had mentioned that you're kind of working up. You're 49, you're working up to be able to do more 225 bench presses than him. And like, dude, 49, crushing that. Like, what a great, like, fun goal to be able to, compete with your son. I'd love to get your feedback on this, right? You're a successful business owner. I had an older gentleman on my podcast one time. He's 75 years old. And he said the way that him and his wife looked at life is like this kind of like Chinese way. And he's the only one I've ever heard us say it. But first 25 years of life, you're just figuring life out, or like you're growing up. Okay. You're growing up. Second 25 out, you're kind of like figuring out adulthood. So then your next 25, which would be 50 to 75, that's your highest impact, right? And it's funny because like you're about to be 50, successful business. I think a lot of guys you might be rubbing shoulders with are like, how do I sell my business and do nothing? Right? Yeah. It's like, that's kind of the mindset, but it's like, wait a second, you know how to start business, build business, invest. Like just an hour ago, you and I were talking about, hey, I'm 10 years behind you. How can I do some things in my business? And you were feeding me the wisdom you had. And so your 50 to 75 is your chance to really maximize what you've learned in your first 50 years. And then 75 to 100 is, how do I give it all back to the next generation? Like, how do I pour in? And like to think that way, not I'm going to retire at 65 and get on my golf game. And like, yes, I want to travel. Yes, I want to be good at things. But as far as, so how does that resonate with your heart when hearing that kind of 25, 25, 25, 25?
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I mean, it definitely, definitely, hopefully by the time you're nearing 50, that you've, are set enough financially. Kids are a little bit, obviously a little bit older in most cases. You should be more stable to where you can have more time to do things that you couldn't do, in those latter part of that mid 25 years. So that's without a doubt. I think that's pretty wise, and I could see myself being like that. I have no desire to sell my business and go play golf every day. I would drive me nuts. I would hate, or go fishing. Like, I love to fish. I love to golf. I love to play pickleball, all those things. But to do that every day, I just don't think that's the purpose that God has put me here for.
Yeah.
I feel that our business can be a ministry, and I also feel with earning in our business, it allows us to also support more ministries.
Yeah.
And I think, that's a big obligation, and to suddenly retire, unless I'm going to retire and go dedicate a lot of my time to ministry, right?
Or giving back in some capacity.
Like right now, like you would talk, a big chunk of ministry is our children. Five kids is a chunk of ministry, but it can't be our only ministry. But it is vitally important, as we talked about, that could spread between their marriage and their kids, and the people can impact. It could have a huge impact on our city and on the world.
Family. I truly believe that our world would look different if fathers stood into their role, right?
Absolutely.
And that a lot of the things that we're looking for in our culture that feel like they're falling apart is because we haven't made an emphasis on family. And I think a lot of it's just because dads haven't been really leaning into their role. And things aren't going to change in a week. But if dads showed up, come back in 25 years and tell me what our society looks like, it would look different. You know what I'm saying?
100%. We've been very fortunate to, we know the Dungies. We've known the Dungies for a long time. Through, we obviously 4 of our kids are adopted. They've adopted a lot. I mean, they've adopted a football team pretty much, and so, had a lot of talks with Tony over the years, and Cindy with his wife, Lauren, and family has always been at the forefront with them, and from his starting all pro dads and things. Like, listen, I mean, you can blame most things in our society on a lack of dads being there. I mean, you can see it in prisons. Most people in prisons, if you interviewed them, didn't have a father figure in their life, and that's in both men and women prisons. It's typically they did not have it doesn't have to be a father, but a father figure in their life. We have a vital role, and unfortunately, our society over the last 10 plus years has diminished the father. From every sitcom, you can watch almost any sitcom, and the father is typically a moron. They make the father as the one the kids laugh at, and that's and we've become okay with that in society, and that's not. I mean, we have a huge responsibility to be not just a spiritual leader, but the leader of the household, and the ultimate decision maker in the household. Our parents, our wives, look to us to be that. Most women want a man who is willing to be decisive and make some final decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with that being said, just leaning into the woman, how many years you've been married?
We just celebrated 25 years of marriage. We've been together for 31 years.
Congratulations, dude.
Thank
what
you.
a feat. That's amazing. What would you tell the guy who's at the 10-year mark, right? So my business partner used to talk about the 7-year itch. You get married, it's fun. Buy your first house, it's fun. Have a couple kids, it's fun. And then you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I'm married with 2 kids and a mortgage. And then you finally, like, the dust settles. So, like, think about it from that 10-year mark of having little kids, still trying to, make that nut probably financially. What would you tell that guy to lean into to make it to that 25-year mark and be sitting where you're sitting?
Absolutely. Amazing question. Definitely, you have to continue to date your wife. Obviously, women's needs and feelings tend to be significantly different than men. right? You know, our needs can a lot of times be satisfied with sex. A lot of our needs, right? But women want to feel loved. They need to feel love more than just intimacy. They want to be dated.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've been working on getting better at. I think I've always been pretty good at dating and making sure we take trips. That's
Mm-hmm.
another part of that is I recommend every married couple, doesn't matter you have kids. We don't even have family that live close to us, but we've found a way to make sure that at least once a year through the 25 years, we've found at least once a year that we got away, just the two of us on a trip. We think
Yeah.
that's critically important. But then the dates too. You know, what I love and my wife and most women want the husband to plan the date.
Right.
They don't like, honey, what do you want to do tonight? I don't know. Well, where do you want to go to eat dinner? Well, I don't know. Where do you want to go eat dinner? No, make a decision, plan
Mm.
something, and now what I try to do more is say, hey, babe, we're going to go out to the dinner tomorrow night. I made a reservation at XYZ, and she's like, that's great. That sounds great. Let's do it. And even sometimes she might be tired, right? We all get tired at times, but we get out there once we get away from the kids, and she's like, man, I'm really glad
Mm-hmm.
we
Yeah.
came.
Yeah. They're never saying, I wish we didn't have done, we hadn't done this. Well,
Absolutely.
I did one time ruin a date. I'm sure it was more than one time, but there's one specifically
We all
I can
have.
remember. And she said, it'll ring true to I'll see your face. She said, okay, too much of a tangent already. I can't believe I got dressed up for this. So it's actually probably pretty much good I bring this up. So as you're talking about dating, it's not about, let me get it on the calendar and check it off the list. It's not about the date. It's like, are
That's right.
you pursuing your wife? And in that instance, what the heck were we? I probably got irritated because we left late. That's probably honestly what happened is we left later than I had wanted. And that I'm almost past that. But I will always remember her looking at me saying, I can't believe I got dressed up for this. And me thinking, can I imagine because I really look at my wife as like God's daughter. Right.
Yeah,
and so it's like, if some asshole made my daughter feel this way, like she got cute, put on her pink dress and we're out to a date. And this dude, she's like crying. I'm like, oh my God. So I've made it right. But the thing is are you pursuing the heart of your wife?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. You're exactly right there. It's not, it can't be just about checking the box off.
No.
At all. And the other thing, you have daughters like I do. Three of my children are daughters. I want them to see, a good example of how a man should treat their wife.
Yeah.
Because I always joke about, guys are going to come, around one day and I'm going to, of course, chase them off. That's always the joke. But realistically, I want to set the bar high.
Heck yeah.
So some little punk wanting to come date my daughters, they're going to realize that this is not how a man should treat a woman. This is not how my dad treats my mom.
Yeah.
And so if they can see just a little bit of that, and I fall short all the time. I mean, I mess up. I mean,
but you're in the game.
Yeah, you know what? But like it's like, I'm a big baseball guy. Hey, I'm going to mess up. I'm going to get out. But you know what? I get a next at bat. My wife can show grace and know even when I mess up that sometimes at least there was good intentions in what I did, and we're going to go ahead and try it again.
Good. All right. Love it. So the secret is pursue her heart, date her, make that a priority, and the annual trip. So I think that's critical. And I don't know about you, but I remember going on a couple trips with my wife that were just one night, and it just didn't quite get us out of the routine of the life really enough. So I found that really 2-night minimum is kind of the best way to be able to wake up at the hotel or the resort or wherever, and then be one whole day and not be thinking about I got to get home by 5 for the kids or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to go anywhere exotic. I mean, it's just sometimes just to get away, and it's just the two of you. And it's just, it's like, I want to set the bar high. So if they can see just a little bit of that, and I fall short all the time. I mean, it's I mess up. I mean, it's I mess up. And the other thing, you have daughters like I do. I three of my children are daughters. And so if they can see just a little bit of that, and I fall short all the time. I mean, it's just the two of you. is nice. And yeah, we kind of try to do that where it's at least a minimum of 2 nights. And and it's become fun for the kids because they get excited. Typically, my wife's mom, who's I call her mom. She's been like a mom to me most of my life. But they get so excited because Lula, they call her Lula. She's Filipino. Lula's coming to stay, and they get so excited. So like they're kind of almost excited that we're leaving. But they also at the same time, sometimes when we go on our date nights, and they're like, oh, you're going out or whatever, and we're like, you want us to stay happily married, right? This is part of this.
Part of it.
We don't want to be that couple that the kids get out of the house and we're like, we look at each other like we don't know each other, right?
Yeah.
That it's like it's always been all just about the kids. In our society now, especially when it comes to sports and stuff, we can make our worlds revolve around our children.
Yeah, we can.
And I'm all about obviously the kids, but we got to have balance there and got to make sure we're definitely putting a priority with our wives.
Yeah. So good. So let me ask you this: in a sentence or two, what would you say the role of the father is?
Spiritual leader, provider. I'm kind of a softie, so my kids know that it's okay for dad to be emotional. I'm a hugger. I'm a big time hugger. My kids have a contest, like the internal contest of who gets the most hugs in a day from dad, because I love to hug my kids. I will hug them, and there's no embarrassment there. Like my son that's at college will hug me in front of his teammates. That's
awesome.
So they know I'm a hugger from my Italian heritage or whatever. But I love hugging my family. So I think, I don't know, part of that's my role. They know dad's big with the hugs, and part of that's just to know. I think that they know that I'm here for them, and if they had a hard day, we can hold on to a long hug.
I love that. Years ago, I'm an emotional guy. I love to connect with people. I'm high touch, but I'm also like 100 miles an hour. And so I don't know, I probably heard it from somebody on a podcast or somebody, but I don't let go first in the hugs. So when I'm hugging my kids, I don't let go first. And it's not like over dramatic, like if I could tell it's breaking, I'm not going to be a weirdo, but to not just give too quick and then peace out, but to really I want them to feel safe. I'm the oak tree. I've got as much time as you need right here. And dude, I love it too. Like my 15-year-old son, dude hugs me anytime he sees, like we're walking by each other in the house, especially in the morning or before bed, he gives me a hug. And I'm like, at the same time, this kid might try to pants me in the kitchen or something. You know what I mean? So I love that dynamic of like, okay, we've got the, the jokes, but we also have the, like, he just needs that. And even the other night, dude, we were watching Chosen on Sunday night, and he's sitting on the corner of the couch, and I got 4 daughters in him, and he's a skater and a surfer and whatever, punk 15-year-old, and he comes over and he just leans his head on my shoulder for a good minute or something, just kind of like he just needed to be there. Nothing said, anything. And I just go, to see you with your college age boy, still same thing. You know what I mean? And our sons need that. Like, I want that, dude.
Yeah,
I want that.
Absolutely.
When did you embrace fatherhood? So, you kind of dropped that you have adopted children. You're 49 almost. Your youngest is 8, right? Yeah. At what point did you go, okay, fatherhood really matters? Was it before you had kids, right when you had kids, or somewhere when they're little?
It would definitely been when they're little, not before, by any means. I was lucky. I was raised by my grandparents, so I pretty stable upbringing. I had my grandfather was really close. I would say to the day he died, I would call him my best friend. It was, just this
is your grandfather.
He's my grandfather, solid values, and just taught me a lot about life. And so I kind of took that as that, of him always being involved in my life, from never missing a ball game or anything. And I never forgot that. Compared to my dad, my birth father, who I love, but he was always he was single, and then even when he got married, remarried, which I love my stepmom too. They're great people, but they always had to work so much, and they never really could find that balance. And his growing up with me was he worked, never really was involved on time, but would always buy me things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't. I wanted to be different. So when I think when the kids were little and I realized, wow, I'm doing this dad thing here, I'm like, okay, I know my dad had the best intentions, and he was trying to provide and trying to make a living, as a blue collar and super hard worker and a great guy. Like, honestly, this day, he's such a nice guy, and everybody most likable. Everyone loves him. But my grandfather was more of the father, meaning he was firm, right? He was. There was discipline, there was structure, which kids need, and he was there. He made a priority of for sure of family time. So when I kind of embraced it, when I think so, our oldest was 3 months old when we adopted him, and fell in love instantly. And I'm like, yes, I got my boy. Like, I'm pumped, but I was clueless. I just had no idea. I'm like, man, I need to read some books or something here. I don't know what to do except love him. But I think as he got a little bit older and we spent so much time together, it was just the three of us. I really started to embrace the dad thing as saying, like, hey, this is really cool, and I don't want to miss a moment. And so that was when it was like, hey, I need to start adjusting the work schedule to make sure, I'm home and we're eating dinners together, and I'm going to all the little bouncy things and the birthday parties and everything else you do with the little ones. And then it was the twins were next. We adopted the twins next. And it was like, I got my girls, like, wow, this is so cool. And we're like, wow, we got 3 kids, and like, this is great. We thought we're done at that point, 3 kids. And we're like, and then God's like, I have a different plan for you guys. You thought that you're done with 3 kids. And nope, sorry. My wife gets pregnant at that point. And we're so unbelievably excited to have Hannah to have 4 children. And we're like, now we're done. Thanks God. We're done. 4 kids. We got you. This is so cool. A couple years later, we get the phone call from our oldest, Nicholas's, the adoption agency that helped us there, saying, hey, Nicholas's birth mother has had another child. And basically need a place. We need to move him. He needs to get out of there. And would you be up for adopting?
What a heavy call, man. I can't even imagine this.
And we're like, wow. We're like, God, what are you like?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like, we seem like overwhelmed with 4, kind of little ones and everything. But there's just, we prayed about it. Like, how can we say no to this situation? This is obviously what God wants. And so we did it. And it's funny because, like, there's this little bit of hesitation in the beginning. And now, like, when I look at him, my little buddy Luke, like, I can't imagine him not being in our life. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, embrace it, embrace fatherhood. It's going to be amazing. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to make lots of mistakes. But just as long as those kids know that you love them, and not just you telling them you love them, showing you love them through your actions with them, you're going to be an amazing father.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, a couple things you mentioned that I just want to point out. Okay. So one, I love there's the hesitation, but then the capacity, like what we're capable of. And then you go, I can't even imagine life without this. And so just like that encouragement, men, if you're listening right now and there's this conversation with your wife, like, should we have another kid, that third kid or that fourth kid? And you're like, choose perfect. And you're trying to design a perfect life. Like, stop. Yes. And be open to God. God, do you want us to have another kid? Do you want us to adopt? Like, our world is in desperate need of men who want to step into fatherhood. And dude, if you came into my world for a couple of weeks, or I'm sure Gary's for a couple of weeks, like, it would not look perfect at all. It would be messy and say things you didn't want to, do things you didn't want to, mess up, step on toes, this, that, and the other. But if you step back, like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the beauty, right, of the garden that you see forming is critical and amazing, and our world needs it. So capacity.
Amen to that.
Yes.
Amen to that. And I'll just add something real quick to that.
Yeah, please.
When you say about the messiness, look, I mean, there's many times I have to apologize to my kids.
Right.
That I fall short or say things that I shouldn't say. And I'm not, I'm not too proud to go ask for their forgiveness of that. Hey, I broke a promise, or I said something that I maybe shouldn't have said, or I maybe overreacted. That's probably one of the biggest things.
I don't ever overreact.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, overreacted to something. I made something so big, and
right.
Taking your phone away for the next year, or whatever it is. And it's like, you realize, like, that's absurd.
Right.
And to go to them and ask for their forgiveness. And it's great having those moments, that they know that this comes out of love, and everything we do is out of love. Every discipline we do is out of love. We do it because we love them. Yeah.
And it's real life. Like, I mean, the beauty of having a big family is what I've told my kids is, like, you are forced every day to learn. 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient, love is kind, love doesn't, it's like you go through these, you can only learn those if, like, my 15-year-old son is bugging the crap out of me. That's how I learned patience. Yeah. So opportunity with your family to, like, lean in. So I love that. The other thing I heard you say is you talked about your dad, and you're very kind. I heard 3 words: nice, loved, and likable. Okay. And then you talked about your grandfather, and you said 3 words. You said firm, structured, and time. Right. And I think I've been wrestling some with the being firm with my son, right? I've got some things that I want him to learn before he moves out. And I'm like, dude, you're 15. So I'm being firm in some things. And so, like, hearing that, it's like, okay, when he's 25 or 30, I want to be firm in a way that he's like, I'm grateful for my dad, not my dad pushed me to limits, so finding that. Now, with that being said, like, the 3 words for your dad, the 3 words for your grandfather, if you overheard your son, right, you're walking down the hallway, he's back from college, whatever, you hear him on the phone, what are a couple words, if he was talking about you, that you would want to hear him say?
I probably good question. I would say one thing I would love to hear him say would be that my dad's always here for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's probably something I want them to know, that I'll drop at anything. Like, he's a couple hours away at college. If he needs something, I don't care. I'm dropping whatever is needed. I'm going there to help him. I'm there. You need me, I'm there. You need to talk, you need me there. You need a hug, I'm there. So definitely that my dad was always there for me. My dad believed in me. So obviously my son's a D1 athlete. Baseball, there's lots of ups and downs in baseball, lots of failure in baseball. I've struggled in times where sometimes I could try to be too hard as he's going through, like, in high school and stuff. And knowing that I just trying to want him to know that I'm proud of you regardless. And I've been better at that lately. It's like, listen, man, baseball could end tomorrow. And I would be no less proud of you. Your definition as my son, and who you are is not as a baseball player. Right. He is, I couldn't be more proud. I couldn't be more proud of him, how he is as a leader in college and involved in ministries and just doing great things. I mean, I can say he is a way better kid than I was at 18 years old. Praise the Lord for that. I mean, he's definitely just got a solid head on his shoulders. And I'll joke saying that, he's, thankfully my wife was so great that he didn't take after some of my flaws from my younger days, he is definitely on a better track than I was when I was 18 years old. So I would definitely, that would be probably the second thing that
it's good.
I'm proud of him regardless, and I believe in him, and I'm always going to be here for him.
Yeah.
I think those are some big things that I hope that he would say about me. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. And guys, as you're listening to Gary's response, I want you to think about if you overheard your 5-year-old, 10-year-old, 15, 20-year-old talking about you, what would you want them to say? And then whatever your answer is, have your actions the past day, week, month led to that being something that they would say? And the only person who gets to change that is you, not their perception of you, but the way that they're experiencing you. And you
can I
get to, yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Can I add something to that? One thing I tell you that I definitely would not want to hear from overhear any of my kids saying would be that dad works too much. My dad always works.
Yeah.
That would be a tough one for me to swallow, because they know, and I know there's situations where people have to work. They're in a certain spot in their business. They got to get, or it's going to go under. There's times, there's seasons, but I certainly wouldn't want my kids to remember me in any way. That man, my dad always worked. He's always, he brought us places, but he.
Why don't you share that Disney story?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So. Yeah, it was. I mean, it's funny. Hannah, she was maybe 8 or 9 years old, and we have Disney season passes. We had them for years. We don't have them anymore.
You guys are out in Florida, yes?
Yeah, we live in Tampa. You were, out over an hour away from Disney, so just to be a nice thing to go do. We homeschool, so it's like, hey, let's go to Epcot for the day and do school at Epcot. And I would take off of work. Obviously, owning a business could do that. Sure. Let's just go do it and go over on a Tuesday. And I would be over there on the Tuesday, and I'm with the family. It's a family day and everything. And we get in line for a ride. And next thing I'm on my phone like this, respond to some text message, some emails. And she was like 8 or 9 at the time. Hannah was like, Dad, you're here, but you're not here. And I was like, ouch.
From the mouth of babes.
That was like, that hit me hard. Like, you're right. I am here, but I'm not giving you guys my attention. You're getting my attention for the 1.5 minutes we're on the ride, not the 1 hour we're waiting in line for the ride, right? Like that, but and then it was like, you know what? Like, this is when we should be talking. This is when we should be maybe playing a little game or and we started to learn to have fun in line instead of Dad being on his phone checking email. So like, guess what? If I'm not going to work, then I'm not going to work. Yeah. And it doesn't mean there can't be, there's the one off. You got to take this phone call, or you got to, of course, those things happen when you own a business, of course, but emails can wait, right? Be in that moment. And that came down to that thing. I needed to learn to be more in that moment of with those kids, because I'm not going to get that moment back. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's really powerful. The other thing I really wanted you to share was, kind of it sounds tough, bizarre, hard to do, but you have a standard for yourself about the weekends. And I'd love you to share that, and the philosophy behind it, how long you've been doing it, and et cetera.
Again, great question on my weekend rule. So, I do a couple little guide trips a year. I love to ski. I have a running 15-year annual golf trip that I do with some guys. as well too. But I have a rule: anytime I'm going to do anything, not with my family, it's got to be on weekdays. I'll block off some time and skip work, but I'm not skipping. I'm not missing weekends with my family. Even I have a ski trip coming up that I turned down because they're going on like a 4-day weekend, like a holiday weekend. I'm like, man, I can't go. Like that's my time, my family. I'm like, listen, guys, this is my rule. This is not that I'm high and better than trying to be better or whatever. This is right. This is just something that I put in place for myself.
Yeah.
Because there's some days, right? You put some hours in owning a business sometimes, right?
Right.
So sometimes you'll get some, those long days, and other days are really short. Beautiful thing about owning a business. But the one thing that I'm not going to waver on is that weekends are for stuff with the family. Whether we're hanging out at the home, doing stuff as a family, or going somewhere, or we have a beach condo, going to the beach condo, or going on vacation. We're going to do stuff as a family. The one exception would be that is if maybe my wife and I, maybe it's our time to get away for our trip. But I'm certainly not, what I mean by that is I'm not going to work on the weekends, and I'm not. Guys will ask me to go golfing. Tea time on Saturday morning at 8:00. We'll be back by noon. Nah, man, I'd love to, but I can't. We got stuff going on with the family. I got family stuff, and that's just how I leave it. I love that. Everyone loves to be invited, be thought of by their buddies, right? So it's really nice, and I'm very thankful that I got some friends that have not disowned me, because they still always ask. It's nice that they still always ask, which just feels good, but they know the answer. Like, I know you probably ain't going to go, but I want to make sure we're going fishing, see if you want to go, man. I'd love to, but we got stuff going on, with the family, and
so good.
It's just been great. And
when did you implement that?
It's been about 5 years.
Okay.
So, I have no regrets.
Was there a milestone moment that shifted you to this?
No, I don't think so. I think there was more, as some of my friends were having some, kids, like they were becoming empty nesters. You have kind of on both ends of the spectrums, right? So as some of them were like, their kids are now all in college, they're at home. There's more time to be freed up to go golfing and stuff. But I'm like, hey, even for me at that time, that's gonna be more time to be with my wife.
Right.
Not to go, a lot of guys, when they go to the golf course, their wives all think it takes 5 hours to play a round of golf, right? Because they're hammering beers afterwards.
Right.
My wife knows when I go golfing, it's a 2.5 to 3 hour round, because I go to golf and I move on my day. When I'm done golfing, I want an early tea time and be done, and it would be on a weekday before work or something like that. But I'm going to go and be on. I'm not there to go drink beers and go hang out, because I want to get in and get my work day done so I can get home and be with my family.
Yeah.
So
love it, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so this podcast is Fatherhood Field Notes. It's you sharing your life, your field notes with us. Thank you for doing that. The theme behind it is rebel and create. And so, as men, we want to be warriors. We want to be, ready for battle, but not just to be destructive, to create something in its space. So when you hear the words rebel and create, what's something you're rebelling against? Whether it's cell phones at the dinner table, or, the weekend thing is a great example. And then what do you hope to create in its space?
Well, definitely rebelling against what society looks at fatherhood as, for sure. I don't want anything to any part with that. The norms of a family and the norms of fatherhood, acceptable in our society. I'm definitely rebelling against that. And 100% what you already said. We have a very firm rule. I mean, it's not even a question of cell phones at the table.
Mm-hmm.
No cell phones, no exceptions. That goes for me or my wife or anything too. Nobody. That is, I love our dinners as a family. That is that's an
Sacred.
awesome thing. Going around and asking, and we do little cards we do, and we ask questions, and we dig in and we talk about dreams and hopes and stuff. It's just not like, how's your day? Right. And they could, good, right? It wasn't teenager, good. Okay. Can you elaborate on that a little? So we ask those, questions that require you to give a little bit of an explanation. So that's definitely something, things rebelling against, for sure. What am I looking to create? I think that was the second part of that is, I'm looking to create a legacy, of breaking a generational curse. My mother and father-in-law, were divorced. My mom and dad were divorced. My mom passed away in a car accident a couple of years later. So we want to create stability, by our marriage. I mean, all kinds of studies show that if we stay married, the likelihood of our children staying married is higher. If they marry someone whose parents are still married, the number is through the roof on the likelihood of that marriage. If when we become grandparents, that's where now we could talk about, it's almost 0% divorce. So that's what I want to create. I want to create that. And marriage is tough, right? Being a parent is tough. Just like running a business is tough.
Yeah.
Right. And anything good in life is tough. Most things that come easy in life are horrible. I mean, it's like people that win the lottery. It's one of the worst things that can happen for most people. It becomes a curse because it became easy. Nothing in the Bible became easy. I mean, these people, Moses, everything was tough. Right. And so, but great things came out of that toughness.
Right. So good, man. I love it. Gary, thank you so much for talking fatherhood on here. Thank you for being a great dad, a husband who leans in, a business leader who leans in. Any last thoughts, anything we didn't touch on before we wrap it up?
Just really, I just say is, don't give up. You got to find other guys.
Yeah, that's
men
so good.
that are going the same direction as you and lean in. And we learn from each other. It's one of those things. You got the tough day. You call on a brother, we got to be there for each other. We got to. We got to have other men that are aligned with us that we can turn to when we've had a tough day.
Hey, that's such a good point right there. And I don't know that I ever talk about this enough, but just in the last month, you probably have similar, but like last night, literally a dude texted me, I am in the thick of it. Can you call me? And is in some serious stuff with his wife and his kids. Right. And then, probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, Sarah and I had a pretty good doozy. And like, I called a buddy and talked to him about it. And I think there's a difference of like, calling to bitch about it. And then there's a difference of calling to be like, man, how am I showing up? Not for affirmation that I'm right and she's wrong or whatever your situation is, but like to get honest brother to speak with you and then to pray together on the phone or something like this. And so like, dude, right now, if you're struggling with something, thinking about something, you were not meant to carry this alone. You were not meant to. So like to go along with what Gary's saying, hit up as soon as this is done, hit up a brother, or if you know somebody who's struggling, hit them up. Hey, thinking about you, praying for you. How you doing? I think that's just so critical for us to remember.
Yeah, man, that's spot on. We need that, and it's key though that you're hitting up a brother that's aligned with you, because guess what? You could hit up your buddy from college or high school, and he's been divorced 3 times.
Yeah.
right? And he's like,
I don't want
man,
his advice.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, come meet me out. Let's go get some drinks, and I'll find no, you don't want any part of that,
No.
right? You need to find a brother that has been there and done that, and is going to support you. They're not there to tell you, oh, you're right. No, they're going to tell you, no, hey, you need to step up. You need to go back, and you messed up here.
Yeah.
Right. But we don't need a bunch of yes men around us. I tell you that at work all the time. I don't need a bunch of yes men. I want people who are willing to be honest and give good insight.
Oh man, Gary, I love it. Thank you so much for being on Fatherhood Field Notes. Thank you for the dude you are. I know I look forward to seeing you in the future at a Rise Up Kings event. We got some other events coming up this year we'll see each other at. So much love to you, your family. Keep waking up every day, putting those feet on the ground and being yourself. The world needs guys like you. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure being on here. Thank you for having me. Yeah, man. Until next time. Absolutely. Take it easy. What an incredible conversation. When I finish up one of these interviews, I sit through and I look at my notes and I think about, I just spent, an hour with a friend, with a peer, with a mentor, with in this situation, Gary's 8 years ahead of me, stepping into a new decade of life in a year and 25 years of marriage. Like, what an opportunity to be able to hear how he's showing up, to hear the things that he's wrestled through, to hear just the authenticity of showing up as a father, and it becomes a part of you and I. And the thing is you and I must pass this on to another father. So many men are not invited into fatherhood. They're not ever patted on the back of like, hey, attaboy, you're doing a great job. I see you loving your wife. I see you loving your kids. I see you working on yourself. So my encouragement to you is send a text to somebody right now. Like, if you send a text to me, hey, Ned, dude, thinking about you. You're a great dad. You probably don't hear that enough. I just wanted to tell you that. And here's this podcast I just listened to, made me think of you, or whatever. But us dads, we need to be invested in. We need to be honored, right? It's not something that is typically done in our society, our culture, our world. And if no one else is doing it, whose responsibility is it? It's you and mine. And I know, like, if I send a text to somebody, just say, thinking about you, bro, you're having a great day. Like, is it a little vulnerable? Sure. But does it definitely mean something to them? Even if they send back a silly, like, we're whatever, like, we like to banter. You and I have an opportunity, especially with men who may be 5-10 years younger than us. I just sent one of my gift boxes to a dad. I was on the phone with him and he's like, oh, I got a 10-month-old. I'm like, dude, welcome to fatherhood. That's super rad. What's your address? I mailed him a box with one of my kids' books in it. I wasn't even going to say this, but you could do this too. Just send the podcast, but you could also send this. I sent him one of my gift boxes from the website, adventurefatherhood.com. And he sent me an email with his 10-month-old boy and the book sitting next to him on the couch. And he's like, he said something like, man, I'm reading this with my son now. He's 10 months old, right? It'll become more important as his kid grows. But this gift was so incredible. Because think about it. Did he get any gifts when he became a dad? Did you get any gifts when you became a dad? Did anybody say, welcome to fatherhood? No. So I encourage you to not miss an opportunity to invite a brother in, to invite another man in. Our world is in desperate need of it. Also, if you haven't, write a review on the podcast. Help spread the word that fatherhood matters. All right, let's finish up here. Thank you to all you dads out there listening to Fatherhood Field Notes podcast. What you do and who you are matters. Don't be like everybody else. Be yourself. That is who your kids, spouse, and community needs. This is your guide, Ned Shout. Together, let's rebel against the view that fatherhood has little impact. And let's engage in mastering the craft of fatherhood. I look forward to hanging out with you next time.